Hey guys, Post Edit Kid here. If you're a member of the Minecraft or org Survivor community and would like to be on the block, my DMs at KidMoto hashtag 8008 are currently open. Talk about your time in the community, promote your game show, or just have fun. Thanks again. Hello and welcome to The Block, the first Minecraft Survivor and org community interview podcast. I'm your host, professional victim, Kid Moto, and today we have a real special guest for you. This morning's guest is a rising star in the recorded and casual Minecraft Survivor community. He made his debut in Minecraft Survivor North Dakota, placing third, and was recently the first runner-up in the second largest recorded season of 2020, which was Kyle's Season 8, Zhangjiajie. Since then, he's been making the rounds in all the major games and is someone you're bound to run into on the island on any given weekend. So please welcome the fearless Red Hawk, Red. Red, thank you so much for coming on and talking to me.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, it's always fun to talk Survivor in general.
As I sort of said in your intro, you've definitely been making the rounds recently. How's that been? Do you just have that like kind of new player itch to play in as many things as possible?
Yeah, I think part of it was just like when I just joined in the summer, I just like wanted to play as many as possible, and like almost every weekend I would try to play a game, which is definitely a lot of games at the start, but it was just so much fun. I just couldn't stop myself, and part of it just wanted to get my first win, so I just kept going pretty much until I got a win.
Yeah, I feel like we joined kind of around a similar time frame. I noticed there's five people. Because it reminds me of high school almost, where like you have your class that you joined with, and I talk to Echo sometimes, and he says there's like people he sees all the time from when he joined back in the day, and like for us, I kind of feel like there's like this freshman five of like you, Gonzo, Pepit, Lemon, and myself that are in pretty much everything like around the same time frame. Have you noticed that you're seeing a lot of the same people in the stuff that you play just based on when you joined?
Yeah, I mean, I think Gonzo is definitely one of the biggest people. Probably also Badger slash Jacob. That's another player that I see a lot of myself, and he also joined pretty much at the exact same time as me. So there's definitely like a lot of like newer faces. I definitely see a lot. Even BMO, for example, is another very fresh face in the community. That it's definitely up and coming.
You said that, or at least my research found that North Dakota was your first recorded season. Is that right? Do I have that correct?
Yeah, that is. I think there's like three I've played technically that were recorded. The other one's Galaxy Game Shows, which is definitely more of a meme recorded, but it is my first official win, which is pretty funny. But yeah, I think
Oh,
North Dakota is
okay.
definitely my
So
first.
of the seasons you were allowed to talk about, you did end up getting a win.
Yeah.
Nice, nice. Does it like, speaking of finishes, does it sting a little bit to come in third in a final two season?
Yeah, a little bit, but I was pretty happy with how I was playing. And honestly, all three of my seasons, I was pretty happy with just going as far as I did in all of them. Because it's honestly just part of the experience as well that you're also really happy about. Like placement to me was definitely important, but experiencing the entire season was also another like great addition to the season, I feel like for me.
So I want you to try and take me back maybe 7 or 8 months. It's
Mhm.
a balmy morning in June, and Oxy does not decide to sleep in. So you would not have been contacted, if I have my research correct, to be on North Dakota. Why don't you tell me a little bit about how you think, your life, your time in the community and all that would be different if that moment hadn't happened?
It's funny because I was a backup, right? But I didn't know it was recorded. I was being recorded like that day that it was recorded on because JP didn't tell me. But I was just happy to be on. I just finished like working out. And I was just like, I'll play some Minecraft. And I just got on. JP DM'd me. I'm like, oh shit, yeah, I'll do this. Why not?
You applied and you were a backup. Was that the first time you had gone through sort of the application process in the community?
I was, I did a Chris's, I remember, because that was like the first recorded, I believe, that was like potentially like going up. And it was like season 8. And I just went through the process, got to second round, and then I didn't get contacted back about. But I think that was the first time I went through the whole process. and then I got back up for JP's, I believe, right after.
So what was Chris's the first like exposure to the community you had? Like how did you end up actually hearing about this to start applying? Because I heard, I found Chris's right around the same time as it sounds like you did. So um but like what was why don't you tell me a little bit about sort of how you discovered these in the first place?
Well, I've always liked Survivor, but I found the community on Hypixel, which is really funny. But I just randomly was with my other friend. We were trying to get like a UHD server going, so we're just randomly recruiting on Hypixel just for fun, just to meet new people, experience new things. And one person we recruited said, "Oh, I play game shows." I was like, "Oh, what game shows?" He says, "I play Survivor game shows." And I was like, "Oh, there's a Survivor community." And I started like looking up and started trying to do it because like I've always loved Survivor, I've always wanted to try it. And my first ever Survivor I did, I got third place, and I just like got the itch to keep playing them. And then I just found like Chris's online that was recorded. I'm like, oh, I'll give it a shot. And I believe I had yet to play my first game when I applied, but I quickly played my first game like right after the interview, pretty much the next day, and I did pretty well. So I just started continuing to do them.
Do you remember who it was that you ran into on Hypixel? Because that's super interesting. Are you still in contact with them at all?
His name was Maxstream Beast. I'm not really in contact with him anymore, but he was hosting a Survivor. Didn't do that well and had to cancel, and then I just played a different one instead. But he definitely introduced me to the community, which is honestly very thankful for. But he's definitely a really nice guy, but I just don't keep up with him, I guess, that much anymore.
So since then, how many recorded and non-recordeds do you have an estimate of how many you've played? Because I've personally seen you in some of the bigger non-recordeds as well, like Dejanimals, Liz's series. Do you have a tally of how many you've played in at this point?
Uh, I'm trying to think of like how each server I played on, like how many times, because there's a decent amount, it's like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
If I had to guess, it's probably about 30-ish, if I had to have a
Wow.
rough estimate. Yeah, it's a lot more than it probably should be.
Yeah, no, no. I mean, it's great that this has sort of become, like your go-to hobby, if I can say. Like, it is. Is it funny to think that like this is such a big part of your life now, and less than a year ago it wasn't? Is it a lot because of quarantine? Like, do you think you're spending as much time doing this because of the lockdowns and stuff, or is it more just you always had the propensity to like find these competitions fun and it just happened to be when you found them?
Yeah, I mean, before I, got really into these, like, I definitely played a lot of Minecraft. I was mostly just mainly PvP on like OCITC. I know it was my main server, and like UHC in general. And I would typically play like a game or two a day of UHC, which take like over an hour each. So like I was kind of used to like long sessions beforehand, and I thought it'd be really good actually coming to the community thinking, oh, I have this PvP background, but it really all helped me in both comps. But you know, I first joined, I was terrible. I thought it'd be goaded, but I was sorely mistaken.
I wanna pivot just for a minute and ask a couple more questions about North Dakota, because to me it's a really unique season, and you're a unique player from that season. Um, it had sort of a controversial twist. As someone who's played a lot of seasons now, do you think that the twist? I'm specifically referring to the late merge.
I mean, if the late merge didn't happen, well, I mean, we saw like when my allies kid was talking about just joining back up, and I think that would definitely make a slightly boring season. But I think Asher maybe potentially flips, which would have been interesting. But I'm kind of used to that because I've been the last man on my tribe before, and it's not a fun thing. And coming into that season, I was like, please not again for me.
What's your mindset going into a game when you meet new people?
Uh, to me, it's like interesting because when you see a new person, you're like, oh, what are they do? Like, it's kind of like more you think about the devil you know versus the devil you don't, right? Where you have people you know what they're gonna do versus people you don't know at all. And it's always fun to work with new people, but it's also sometimes scary in my mind because like I know some people that I could work with that to a certain point in the game, but it's also like I know they're gonna turn on me at some point. But if you have a new person, they don't know your gameplay. And I played in some servers where they have no idea who I am, and I'm able to like meet a lot of new people and a lot of new faces. And it definitely sometimes gives me the edge because I'm able to just do what I want in some sense, which is really fun to do. Just to have an entire new server with new players. I think that was definitely North Dakota for me. That was definitely Kyle's for me. And those were definitely great experiences, meeting a lot of new faces and making a lot of new friends, I feel like, in those two servers.
So you ended up voting for Asher to win. Do you think that he's a good, with just sort of how unorthodox the season was? Do you think that him and his game sort of represent the season well as a winner?
Yeah, he maximized his chances in like the limited amount of votes he was at. And that really showed me that he had the balls, in my opinion, to like make the move when he maybe should have like just stayed the course, right? He had an easier path at the end, but he chose the more flashy way to the end. So that way he can potentially gain the respect of the jury. Because in his mind, he if he just stays the course, goes to the end with Echo, in his mind he thinks he loses. And he took the risk of making the move, making allies. He had good jury management, and he definitely took the slightly more riskier path to the end just to gain more favor with the jury, and I think it really worked in his favor.
Did you have kind of like a a Troyzan Tarzan moment when you saw another player with a Solid Snake Minecraft skin?
That was hilarious. Me and Cade, we're in the intro like Bedrock box, just hang out, and we just like as soon as he logs in, we just both look at each other and go like, "Oh shit!" At this moment where and JP's just like, "Oh, I didn't expect this to happen." He just was It was pretty funny, and we just both stared at each other, and then we were on the same tribe together. We talked about it, laughed about it. I don't think it really affected the game, but it was like really funny thing that we just kept talking about.
What about moving forward? So you said you've played over 30 times at this point. This is a hobby that wasn't in your life a year ago. Do you see Minecraft Survivor being like a hobby of yours, being a part of your life, like moving forward?
Yeah, I mean for sure. I think I'm definitely gonna slow down probably at some point just to focus more on school. But I mean, these are definitely something that I'll probably definitely try to keep doing. Maybe not as frequently as I have been in the past, but definitely like maybe slow down a little bit. But I just love each game. It's a different experience each time, pretty much. No two games are the same, in my opinion.
Great. Well, Red, I want to thank you so much for coming and talking to me. It was super interesting. Especially considering we joined around the same time. And so it's always interesting to me to hear how people found the community and sort of their journeys like progressing through it. Keep playing games, keep having fun, and yeah, I just want to say thanks again for talking to me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And this has been episode 2 of The Block with Kid Moto. Thanks again, Red, for coming on the show, and thank you for listening. If you like this content, let me know, and I'll see you next time.